Rick Ratterman, who passed away. He worked with DDS for many years. I think it was over 21 years, and also served as an attorney and a liaison to the Family and Children First Council. And so Rick was a great guy. I know Commissioner Dumas, you interacted with him as well. But what a huge loss.
Yes.
His passing is. So I just wanted to make sure that we recognize that passing, and we'll offer up silent prayer for Mr. Ratterman at our meeting right now. So please join me in silent prayer. Amen.
Amen.
And to the Pledge of Allegiance. Bridget, I'm assuming the flag is coming. There we go. I pledge allegiance
To
the flag of the United States
of America
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice
for all.
Thank you. All right. I'm going to move that we approve of the minutes of the previous session.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Park?
Yes.
Thank you. Jackie, do we have any public comments related to anything that's not an agenda item today?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. We will move to comments of commissioners. Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Thank you, Madam President. I have no comments this week.
Okay, Commissioner Parks.
Thank you, Madam President. So Jackie, I thought that we were going to proclaim Hispanic Heritage Month this week.
That is on the 24th.
It's on next week's. Okay,
Yes.
Thank you. I have no
You're
comment.
welcome.
Okay, nothing further, Commissioner?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I just have one thing. I did a tour yesterday of the FC Garage with Phil Beck, and it was very informative. You know, I'm a visual learner, so it was helpful for me to get on site. They have started to pour the concrete in that facility, and you know, he helped me understand the access points and whatnot. So it's on time, on budget. So that's the good news. It's really close to the stadium. I did not, from the drawings that we saw, I didn't realize it was so close. So just wanted to thank Phil for the tour. Thank all the folks that are down there on that site, making sure that the work gets done. It's a very diverse group of people working on that project for the county. So I just am very grateful for the tour and would recommend it. If anybody wants to get out and about, we did have to wear hard hats. And I did not have the appropriate footwear on, but it was still a good tour and very educational. So thanks to Phil Beck for taking me around. Jeff Aludo, we don't have any bye leaves today.
We don't have either.
Yeah. No bye leaves, commissioners. I would just tag on to what Commission President Dreehouse said, and to the degree that the board desires an on-site tour of any of the major projects we have coming out of the ground right now, whether it's the music venue, the crime lab, or the West End Garage, just let me know. We'll hook you up with the appropriate person, the point person on each project, and get you in there to take a look at what's happening. We've got a lot of good construction work going on right now. Aside from that, Madam President, nothing further.
Great, thank you. Yeah, just let me follow up on that. So we had mentioned a while back about doing a tour of the banks with some city council members. I have reached out to David Mann to follow up on that. They had asked that we have kind of a joint group go down. So I reached out and I have not heard back about a time or a date. So if that happens, I will certainly let everyone know. And so maybe we do it collectively, or obviously you can do it on your own, but I just haven't heard back. So I haven't given you any additional information on that. All right. we have two public hearings. The one is a continuation of a hearing that we had last week. And so commissioners, with your deference, I'd like to move that one forward first because these folks have already been on one of our meetings. And so this is the one related to the zone change out in Green Township. Bailey had asked for the change. And so I think that all of us have had some conversations with both staff and the folks out at Bailey to better understand this one. But I'm going to let Brian give us the update because, as you may know, there was an email that went out, I think it was yesterday, with a change in the design. So remember, the item up for debate at our last meeting was access. And so there was an access point on North Bend that was going right in and going right out. There was another access point to the south that was not controversial or contested. And then there was the access to the north onto Boomer, where we had heard some conversation from the residents and from Green Township about whether or not they thought that was an appropriate access point. And we heard from the engineer that at this moment in time, the engineer would not recommend that that happen. And so Bailey had asked us to leave it in the drawings just in case at a future date they could make some improvements and make it something that the engineer would approve of. But upon further consideration, they have decided to take that access point off of the request. And so what's in front of us today is a drawing that relates to two things. One is having moved the building at the request of the residents. That's part of the drawing. And that was there last time. And then again, there are only two access points shown at this point. It's the one out to North Bend and one to the south. The one to the north to Boomer has been taken off. So Brian, I hope that is an appropriate summation of what we've got in front of us today.
Yes, that's correct. Right. So the plan that's in front of you today does not show the Boomer access. The applicant has agreed to not seek the access point onto Boomer, which is why they submitted the revised plan. So if you take action or close the public hearing or request a resolution today, it would be based on that revised plan that does not show access to Boomer.
And in addition to that, Frank Birkenauer, I know, is on. Green Township has also been on the loop here. And my understanding, and Frank, correctly if I'm wrong, that Green Township is supportive of this plan with the change.
Yes, they are, Commissioner Driehaus. We are in support of the change as proposed. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So that's what we've got in front of us, commissioners. Please comment, questions.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm also in support of the change.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm in support.
Okay, very good. I know there are folks on from Bailey, and I would be happy to open the floor to you if you so desire. So I can't, I'm looking, is it Tina that's on?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes.
So this is Doug Bennett, Vice Chair of the Bailey Board. And Commissioner Driehaus, we couldn't have said it any better than you did. So great summation. Thank you for taking our calls and emails earlier this week and then last week. I think that communication went a long way to a very short and sweet meeting today. So we appreciate the overwhelming support for the development and look forward to working with you folks in Green Township and the Hamilton County engineers and Brian's office here extensively in the future. So thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for what you're doing in the community. Bailey is just a wonderful asset to Hamilton County. I'm familiar with your other facility out to the west. So thanks for all that you're doing and providing this service to the residents. And I do want to note too that you have done quite a bit of work to make sure that the residents that live close to this property are also supportive. So thank you for doing that. All right. So if there are no further comments or questions, I am going to move that well, Brian, do we have to close the hearing?
Yes.
Here's what I'm going to move. We close the hearing and ask staff to prepare a resolution for our next meeting to approve of this, this zone change.
And as part of the resolution, just to clarify before we go to close the public hearing, you want to change the condition of the zoning commission that says no access onto Boomer unless approved by the county engineer to say no access onto Boomer.
Well, or rather, wouldn't it be just an approval of the changed plan?
If you want it to have to come back to you to get the Boomer Road access, then adding a condition that says no access on the Boomer would be the appropriate way to approach it.
Okay. I assume that's the expectation also at Bailey, given the fact that they changed this plan. Is that correct?
Say that again, Brian, please.
So Brian, reiterate the language. I just want to make sure that the folks at Bailey have an understanding of that language.
No problem. So the the zoning commission recommendation said no access point onto Boomer unless approved by the Hamilton County engineer. And the resolution that I would bring forward to the board would say no access onto Boomer Road as a condition.
Madam President, I don't know if we need not to leave the option open for them, because it was indicated by the engineer that if they did the grading on the one side and lifted up some of the pavement, that it could happen. So I'm saying right now, no access, but do we want to just say they can never use it? They may decide to do the improvements to make that happen.
So I might be able to, you do have some options. I apologize. It seemed like it was going to be very simple, but there are still some options as far as the conditions go. If you place a condition on the approval that says no Boomer Road access, to do Boomer Road access, they would have to go through the process and come back to you to get an access point onto Boomer. If you don't include a condition, if you just strike the condition altogether and just go with the plan that shows no access onto Boomer, if they want to do it in the future, we would make them go to the zoning commission for a major adjustment hearing, but the zoning commission would have the final decision. If anybody was upset about the zoning commission's decision, they could appeal it to you, so it may still come back to you in the future.
Okay.
But it does give them a little bit more flexibility, but a much faster process for them to try and get the access point onto Boomer if you don't have a condition about it.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Brian.
Would the engineer still weigh in?
Yes, definitely. The engineer will always weigh in, yes.
Okay. All right. So, so now, as always, a little confusing here at the end. So is the recommendation then to the resolution acknowledging that Boomer is not shown anymore on the plan, right? So I don't want to get in the way of Bailey doing improvements, perhaps in conjunction with Green Township, maybe in the future, to make not only the access to their facility better, but to help the neighbors. I mean, because in the end, if those improvements happen, it's going to be good for everybody. So I personally would like the path of least resistance, knowing that the engineer will always still have to weigh in here.
Right.
So commissioners, are we in agreement on that?
Yes.
Commissioner Parks, did you catch any of that? So
I did.
I'm
And
sorry. I talked right through that. Sorry. So Brian, do you have enough clear direction here to get us a resolution next week?
Yes, I do. It will not have any condition about Boomer. We'll strike the zoning commission's condition about the Boomer Road access, and we will, and it'll include the revised plan. Yes.
Okay. Very good. All right. Thank you. So then I have moved that the hearing is closed and that resolution come in front of us next week. So move.
Second.
Can I ask one thing?
Yes.
So Brian, can you just very quickly take us through the next few weeks, because we have a closing that we have to do and advise our seller what we think that time frame is. So based on what we just decided and what was approved, what's the next few steps and the durations of those?
Well, Commissioner Driehaus, do you want to finish the vote?
Yeah, we haven't approved it yet because we haven't taken the vote. So let us do that first. So it's been moved, it's been seconded. Jackie, could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Driehaus,
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas,
Yes.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so the typical process would be for you to have this on your agenda 2 weeks from now to avoid it being a by-leave resolution. So I'll get it to Jackie and it'll be on the agenda 2 weeks from today. So the Bailey's folks, once the resolution has been approved by the board as a as I believe a consent agenda item. The public hearing is closed. No more testimony will be heard, so you don't need to attend that meeting. After that, there's a 30-day referendum period, and then following that, we can discuss the final development plan process or the zoning compliance plan process that is outlined in the conditions of approval. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so we're looking at October 1st for the consent agenda, then plus 30 days for the zoning referendum, and then an idea of when the zoning paperwork becomes final,
It'll be final the day that it's effective.
which would be,
Follow 30 days after October 1st.
okay, so it's the end of October.
Correct.
Halloween, that's a good date to start with. That's good. Okay. All right,
Okay, great, thank you.
great, thank you all, appreciate it.
Thank you. Frank Birkenauer, is your hand raised?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to, I just wanted to, when you were discussing the amendment, I think the trustees are totally in agreement with not having that as a condition like you had decided.
Okay,
I don't think their intention was to prohibit it for perpetuity. If it can be done safely and help the neighbors, as Commissioner Driehaus said, we're in total agreement. So great decision. Thank you.
well, I'm glad we're on the same page, Frank. Very
Yes.
good. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you all for weighing in. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Bridget, did you say that there was, well, let's move on to the next public hearing for the moment. So we've got a second public hearing to consider an appeal of RZC decision case Miami 97-3 Indian Walk. And so this one, I'm going to let staff describe this one, but this one is related to one property owner, is my understanding, out in Miami Township. So Brian, are you taking this one as well?
Yes.
Okay.
For this one, I'm going to share my screen so that let's see. Everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay. So this is the property here. Like you said, this is an appeal of a zoning commission decision. When a planned unit development such as a planned unit development in Miami Township is approved, there's a plan that obviously gets recorded with that approval. And the way to adjust the plan, to make any changes to the plan that was approved, is to go to the zoning commission for a major adjustment, which is what the property owner did, requesting reduced setbacks on the west side of his lot. And he requested that major adjustment from the zoning commission. The zoning commission has the final decision on that. And the zoning commission held a public hearing. The applicant was there. We did send notice to everybody within 200 feet. We did not receive any correspondence or phone calls. And the neighbor did not attend the meeting. None of the neighbors, I'm sorry, attended the meeting. The discussion related to whether or not the variance, the reduced setback that he was asking for, should be granted on the west side or the east side. And he was asking for it to be reduced from 10 feet to 6 feet. Staff's position was there's not a good reason why this one property should not follow the same rules as all the other properties in the PUD, but recognizing that they did have a green space parcel on the east side, our recommendation to the zoning commission was that the 6 feet be granted on the east side of the lot, where it wouldn't affect any adjacent property owners, and that he maintain the required 10 feet on the west side, so that the houses wouldn't be any closer than what was approved. At the meeting, at the zoning commission hearing, the applicant did explain his reasoning for wanting it to be on that side, explained his desire to have it be on the west side and not the east side, but in the end agreed that he could make it work with the variance granted on the east side instead. And before the zoning commission acted, he said that he could do it and that he was in favor of staff's recommendation. So the zoning commission approved the major adjustment with the staff recommendation that the reduced setback to 6 feet be granted on the east side of the lot. Following the zoning commission's decision, the property owner reviewed with his builder and decided that he could not make it work on the east side. And that's the reason that he appealed the decision of the zoning commission to the Board of County Commissioners. So all the zoning commission decisions on planned unit developments, major adjustments, they're all appealable to the board, to you as the board. And so that is what that's what he decided to do. And that's what's taken place to this point. Just another graphic indicating what he is asking for. This is the house that he would like to have. There's a 2-car garage in the front, and he wants to have a 3rd-car garage here, like a carriage garage. And to make the side entry work and have enough room, he says that he needs to have 6 feet on this side. He can't make it work with 10 feet on this side, and that's the actual appeal. That's what he wants to do, and that's what he's requesting approval for. So again, staff felt that you could either flip the lot, put the garages on this side and have the 6 feet be over here, or reduce the driveway apron and, you'd still be able to get in and out of the garages. And he thought that that would work, and he agreed with us at the zoning commission hearing, but has now since changed his mind, does not think that it'll work, and wants to ask for this to be reduced. So it's a complicated description, but fairly simple. We still have not received any correspondence from the neighbors. We did notify everybody within 200 feet again of this hearing. And I still have not received any phone calls or correspondence about it. And I'm not sure if anybody's here from the public for this case either.
Okay. Bridget, is there anybody from the public?
Bob Klosterman is on the line.
Okay.
I'm not sure if he wants to make a public comment or not.
Mr. Klosterman, I can see you. You are not muted, I don't think.
No, I'm not. Sorry, I'm not here for that. I was here for the previous meeting, hearing. Just
I
listening.
apologize.
So, no problem.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anyone here for this hearing?
I do not believe so.
And I don't see the applicant either.
Okay. So I think the quandary here is that there are no neighbors that object to this change, but it is a change. So commissioners, what are your questions and comments here?
Madam President, just a little confused. Brian was saying that the applicant could flip where the garage was, and they agreed, and now they're not agreeing. So Brian, your recommendation is if they don't agree with that recommendation, that it's not approved by your department?
We didn't recommend approval of it the way that they're asking for it.
Right.
And our recommendations are, I try to make sure that our office is consistent in what we say.
Mm-hmm.
When people ask, to modify the rules for, anything related to zoning, but also within PUDs like this specifically, we look for a compelling reason why this property is different than the rest of the properties in the development.
Mm-hmm.
Why the one property should be treated differently than all the others. And if we don't find a good reason, we generally recommend against it. And that's what we did in this case. But we did recognize that there is green space next to this parcel, and that there would be no adjacent homeowner that would be impacted on the east side. And that's why we supported his request just on the other side of the lot than where he was asking for it. And that was our recommendation.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so Brian, the neighbors don't mind. Nobody really has.
Usually when people are upset, they show up or call or send letters, and I've received none of that.
Yeah, we do know that.
That's weird, because the owner didn't even show up, and he's upset.
I can't answer that.
Yeah.
We definitely told him when this meeting was.
Yeah.
Okay. I see James Noyes is raising his hand, literally raising his hand. So
I thought,
Oh no, he's muted again.
nope, you're muted.
I thought I had myself on the right mute or unmute. I thought I would raise my physical hand so you can see.
Got it.
Just one additional consideration. I may not have passed this on to Brian. The one thing with also, and it wasn't discussed in any of the dialogue that I saw, but flipping the garage over to that side If it's flipped over there's going to be a 3-car garage pretty close to the neighbor's side yard of their house. If it is as requested, that garage and 3 cars is not close to anybody. So the house is pushed back a little, as you see on that lot, to where those garages and the cars would be parked right outside a potential bedroom or the backyard, because the house is pushed back further. So while that wasn't identified anywhere that I saw, flipping it over to the way that it's being requested, those cars wouldn't be close to where somebody's house would be. So that's just an additional consideration. Brian, I don't know if you want to weigh in on that or not.
No, that's all true. That's correct.
So Madam President, if I could just clarify so that James, just so we're all on the same page, the way it is currently being requested now with the reduced setback on the west side puts the garages in a more appropriate position as it relates to bedrooms and things of that and other properties. Did I hear that correct?
That is correct. And so otherwise the garages would be close. There'd be a 3-car garage, close to somebody's house, fairly close, even with a 20-foot setback. If it's on the other side, the way that's proposed, they are with 50 feet or so from the nearest house. So, with noise and so forth, if I was the neighbor, and again, I don't want to presume that I'm the neighbor and what they want, I would prefer the garages on the opposite side, even though the house was a little bit closer, in this case, 4 feet, rather than have somebody's garages pulling in and out and so forth. So I thought that was a valid additional comment that you might want to consider.
Is there any expectation that the property to the east is developed at some point?
No, it's a permanent open space tract. There's the panhandle for the open space tract that comes out to the street. So yeah, the 20 feet adjacent to that side will always be green space. Okay.
Well, James, that's interesting information. And given that, I'm inclined to approve of the homeowner's rendition of this. Commissioners, I don't have any sense of where we are right now, though, from you. So tell me what you think.
I agree with you, Madam President.
Okay. Commissioner Parks?
Sure.
I know that seems like an easy one. I mean, the neighbors don't care.
I agree. If the neighbors don't mind, if the community is all right,
Yeah.
I'm all right too, and I vote yes.
Oh, there we go. All right. So now I am going to ask you for clarity about what exactly the motion is, because there's some confusion here. So we obviously will need to close the hearing and then ask for a resolution that does what, Brian, to allow for the homeowner to do as he wants.
To modify the zoning commission's approval to allow the 6 feet on the eastern property line and 10 feet on the west, where it currently says 10 feet on the east or 10 feet on the west and 6 feet on the east.
Okay. All right. Very good. So I am going to then make a motion that we close the hearing and have a resolution come forward to the board. Is it in 2 weeks, Brian? Is that what?
Yes.
Yeah. 2 weeks. So move.
Second.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you,
All right.
Brian.
Thank you.
Bridget, is the person that wanted to comment to the previous hearing still on?
I do not believe so. No, I do not see him.
Gosh, I apologize. I did not know that there was someone still to speak on that one. That's my bad. I should have asked. So I regret that.
I don't think he said he wanted to speak, Madam President. He said he was just staying on to listen to the next one.
Okay. All right. I hope that's the case. If he wants to
He was
jump
a
on
member
again.
of the team. I think he was a member of the development team.
Oh, very good. Okay. My Catholic guilt was kicking in there. So. Okay. Let's move.
You saw a ruler somewhere.
Well, I'm not even going to take that bait. So we have one regular agenda item, and Eric Beck is here. from the he's the county engineer, obviously. Talk to us about this item.
Yes, this is a joint agreement between Sycamore Township and Hamilton County to combine a township roadway project and a county roadway project as one, so we can do the design, construction, and apply for OPWC funds.
Okay. Seems pretty clear cut. Commissioners, any questions or comments?
I have no questions.
No questions. Thank you.
Good, thank you.
you.
I will move that we approve of regular agenda item number 1.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
Great, thank you. We have a number of consent agenda items. They are 2 through 9. Are there any questions related to these items?
I have no questions.
No questions. Thank you.
All right, going to move that we approve of consent agenda items 2 through 9.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes,
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
thank you. Administrator Aludo, we've got some spare time right now, so this has been an oddly quick meeting for us. So is there anything that we need to discuss?
I have nothing further for the agenda, Madam President. I wish I could help out.
No, it is a beautiful day outside, so I feel like we've done good work here. So commissioners, if there's nothing else, I'm going to move that we adjourn.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Good to see everybody.
Thank you.